Remember guys, no swearing. We'll end up on 360. Hello guys, it's 1099 here and welcome to today's video, and today we're going to go through my tips and predictions for round 9 of the 2026 NRL season. Last round, we almost had a perfect round. It was unfortunately the Cowboys Sharks result, which did unfortunately ruin it. Tipped the Sharks to win, obviously they did not, but hopefully we could try to get it done this week, as this will be quite an interesting round to say the very least. Starting off on Friday night, we have at 6 PM the Canterbury Bulldogs taking on the North Queensland Cowboys. Now the Bulldogs are coming off a 20-point loss to the Broncos away from home, whilst the Cowboys got the win over the Cronulla Sharks last week, which was also the previously mentioned match that ruined our perfect round. Going to be an interesting match, as this fixture, the last couple of years historically, have had matches that have been quite close. But I just feel like the Cowboys have got some pretty good momentum going. The Bulldogs need to change a couple of things, but I think this will be somewhat extremely tight. I think, like, if I had to tip one game to go to Golden Point, might be this one. I think there's also been a bit more changes there for the Bulldogs, but I'm going to say that I'm going to tip the Cowboys. I just think they're just going to keep things going. They keep cementing themselves in the top 8, and the Bulldogs ask more questions. Now we go into the 8 PM match on the Friday, as we have the Dolphins taking on the Melbourne Storm. The Dolphins are coming off a close loss to the New Zealand Warriors in Wellington, whilst the Melbourne Storm were smacked up by the South Sydney Rabbitohs, the first time losing to the Bunnies in Melbourne. Also, this is now 6 losses in a row now for the Melbourne Storm, as they currently sit second last. It's just, to be honest, I'm probably going to make a longer video talking about like what on earth's going on with Melbourne at the moment. But I feel like this, I don't know, I feel like this is the kind of match where they finally switch things on and get things together. But I don't know, it's like, I think this will be a very interesting game for Melbourne, obviously trying to combat what has happened recently, and I think they are able to switch things together, but I don't know, it's like the Dolphins are going to be quite an interesting team to see if that does happen for them. But yeah, I'm going to say that I don't know, I reckon in a pretty interesting match, I'm going to say that I think the Dolphins will get the win there. And now we go into the Saturday matches, where at 3 PM we have the Gold Coast Titans taking on the Canberra Raiders. The Titans are coming off a bye, whilst the Canberra Raiders are coming off a 19-point loss to the West Tigers at Leichhardt. This match is actually, in terms of the betting markets, is probably the most even, and it's pretty fair to say because both teams currently in and around near the bottom 4, with the Raiders at 14th and the Titans at 13th. Couple of more ins and about, but I feel this actually could be a quite interesting game to see what does happen here. Obviously, both teams still trying to kickstart relative form into their season. In terms of who I'm going to pick, I'm going to say that I think the Raiders will win this. I think this is a very desperate victory that they need to get to, so if they want to, get back-to-back into the finals. So now we go to 5:30 PM, as we have the Parramatta Eels taking on the New Zealand Warriors. The Eels are coming off a 15-point loss to Manly last week, whilst the Warriors, earlier mentioned, came off in a close win over the Dolphins in Wellington. Yeah, the Warriors now sitting second. They've just got absolute beautiful pulsing momentum, but Parramatta can get results out of the way. I mean, like, they're kind of bipolar at the moment, because like it was a couple of weeks ago, Parramatta got smacked up by 50 points by the Titans, and then the next week they beat the Bulldogs. So I feel like this could be a match which is quite high scoring, but I think the Warriors are just going to be too good for them, and I think they're just going to keep things rolling. And now we go into the 7:35 match on the Saturday, as we have the Sydney Roosters taking on the Brisbane Broncos. The Roosters are coming off just absolutely pummeling the Dragons in the Anzac Day match. What was it, like 66-18? 62-16, my apologies. Whilst the Broncos are coming off despite having a depleted team, beating the Bulldogs by 20 points at Suncorp. It could be a quite interesting game, but I feel like this is a game that the Roosters really should win at home. They've just got this momentum, just need to just keep that stuff rolling, especially against the, getting a victory over the defending premiers. So I'm just going to say straight away, yeah, I think the Roosters should be able to get this done. And finally, we go into the Sunday matches where at 2 p.m. we have the Newcastle Knights taking on the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Now, the Knights are coming off a big loss to the Penrith Panthers, whilst the Bunnies are coming off breaking their Melbourne hoodoo, winning the first time down there in a 48-6 win over the Storm. Now, it looks to be that the Newcastle Knights are now full strength. Looks like Ponga, everyone's back for this game, but it's going to be interesting because the South Sydney form has been absolutely pretty decent, which is now making my preseason prediction not as good. But yeah, I just think South Sydney have just been going brilliantly well at the moment, and I just think they're going to continue this, and I think Souths are going to win. And now we go to the 4:05 match on the Sunday as we have the Cronulla Sharks taking on the West Tigers. The Cronulla Sharks are coming off a high-scoring defeat against the North Queensland Cowboys, whilst the Tigers are coming off a 19-point win over the Canberra Raiders at home. Now, one thing that needs to be said for this Tigers thing is of noticing that the Sharks are the odds favourites is because there is quite significant outs for the West Tigers. Abaso Kurasau, Dream Bullet, and Kai Pearce-Paul, all three out for this match. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this Tigers team go. I'm going to go a little bit against the grain. I reckon the Tigers keep this going. I think they've just been a very good team to their core, and I just reckon they're just going to keep getting it done. I just think the Tigers are going to win on the road. And finally, we get to 6:15 p.m, whereas we have the Penrith Panthers taking on the Manly Sea Eagles. Now, the Panthers are coming off a big points win over the Newcastle Knights, whilst the Manly Sea Eagles are coming off a win over the Parramatta Eels last week. As Manly are now currently 6th place in what has been a massive revelation ever since Kieran Foran's come in as coach. Like, I'm pretty certain they've been undefeated this entire time, but unfortunately, now they come up against the best team in the comp, the Evil Empire, whatever you want to call it. And I just think that despite how good Manly have been, I think this is going to be the first sort of like, okay, right, we now know what the level is, and I'm going to say that I think Penrith win this pretty distinctly, and that's going to be the end of the rounds of predictions. Who do you guys have? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.